When a person dies, a system begins its work. The system begins with the collection of mortality data. This is not just about counting numbers, it drives public health and criminal justice. By analyzing who dies and why, authorities can spot disease outbreaks and potential crimes, evaluate treatments and detect signs of foul play, and develop safety regulations and investigative responses. Every death investigation feeds into a global database that shapes how we protect the living. For example, a series of similar deaths might point to an environmental toxin, or it could reveal a new strain of a dangerous disease. Without a clear system, these patterns would remain hidden, placing more lives at risk. We will start with the two main types of officials who lead these investigations. The United States uses two main systems to investigate deaths. One is the medical examiner system. The other is the coroner system. While both roles aim to determine why someone died, their origins and requirements differ significantly. The primary difference between them comes down to medical training. The medical examiner, or ME system, is a modern medical approach. An ME is typically an appointed physician, usually a board-certified forensic pathologist. They apply rigorous scientific methodology and perform autopsies to reach a diagnosis based on pathology rather than testimony. The coroner system is a legacy of English common law. A coroner is often an elected official. In many counties, a coroner does not need to be a doctor. Their primary role is administrative and judicial. They lead the investigation. If a death is deemed suspicious, they may convene an inquest, a public quasi-judicial hearing with a jury to determine the identity of the deceased and the circumstances of the death. They may lack medical training but can order an autopsy. When needed, a coroner will hire a board-certified forensic pathologist to perform it. The coroner then uses pathologists' findings, police reports, and other evidence to make their final determination. Example case: a subtle poisoning. A medical examiner would personally conduct the autopsy. They would take tissue and fluid samples. They use deep knowledge of toxicology and pathology to identify the specific poison and understand its effect on the body. Final report: a direct medical conclusion. Example 2. Coroner system. The coroner is called to the scene, recognizes the death as suspicious, orders an autopsy. A separate pathologist performs the procedure, sends a report back to the coroner. The coroner officially certifies the death as a homicide by poisoning. Both systems rely on forensic science to provide accurate and unbiased answers for the family and the justice system. To provide legal and medical clarity, every investigation must distinguish between three distinct concepts. These are the cause, manner, and mechanism of death. Cause of death is the specific injury or disease that started the chain of events that led to death. Examples include gunshot wound to the chest, lung cancer, blunt force injury to the head. It is the main diagnosis. Manner of death is the legal category of the death. The 5 standard manners of death are natural, accident, suicide, homicide, undetermined. Natural may be disease or old age. Accident is an unforeseen event like a car crash or a fall. Suicide is an intentional, self-inflicted act. Homicide is death caused by another person. And undetermined means there is not enough evidence to decide. Mechanism of death is the physiological change that resulted in death. For example, exsanguination, cardiac arrhythmia, cerebral edema. The mechanism is the final step in the chain of events. It is the direct consequence of the cause of death, and many different causes can end in the same mechanism. So, a person is in a car crash. Manner: accident. They suffer a ruptured spleen. Cause ruptured spleen. They bleed internally. Mechanism: exsanguination. All 3 pieces complete the picture. The death scene decision tree. The investigation begins the moment a body is found, following a clear logical path like a decision tree. The first step is to secure the scene and limit entry. They check for immediate dangers such as gas leak, fire, active threat, and then preserve evidence. Once secure, they try to identify the deceased by checking wallet, identification, personal documents. Investigators conduct an initial examination of the body and surroundings. They look for visible injuries, nearby pill bottles, medical equipment, or a suicide note. Early clues guide next steps. Is the death expected and natural, unexpected, sudden, suspicious? A peaceful expected natural death may be certified by the attending physician. Violence, accidents, suicides, or sudden unexplained deaths must be referred to authorities. This is when the medical examiner or coroner is called. Their legal jurisdiction is triggered by circumstances, not location. After accepting the case, they take charge, examine, photograph, and collect evidence, then direct transport to the morgue. If the scene provides a clear cause, an external exam may suffice. In homicides or unclear cases, a full autopsy is performed. The final product of a death investigation is the death certificate. This is the official legal document that registers a person's death with the government. It lists the person's full name, date of birth, date and time of death, and the place where the death occurred. Most importantly, it states the official cause and manner of death as determined by the investigation. It summarizes the work of doctors, scientists, and investigators, transforming findings into public and legal fact. Who completes it depends on the circumstances. Attending physician for expected natural deaths, or the medical examiner/coroner otherwise. They use evidence from the scene, the autopsy, and toxicology to determine cause and manner, then certify the form. Once completed, it is filed with the local or state office of vital records. Families need certified copies to settle legal and financial affairs. Banks, insurance companies, and pension funds require it. It is necessary to transfer titles of property like a house or a car. Without it, families can be stuck handling the estate. Vital records offices issue certified copies to legally entitled individuals. Beyond the family, mortality data is vital for public health. Agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention collect and analyze it, removing personal details to protect privacy. Anonymous data tracks trends, reveals leading causes, spots outbreaks, rising suicide rates, and increases in accidental overdoses. A well-run death investigation system protects the living by learning from the deceased. It is a quiet but vital part of a safe and healthy society, turning personal tragedy into public knowledge that can prevent future harm. A careful death investigation is a service to both the deceased and the living. It gives a voice to the person who can no longer speak for themselves. Think about a case where an elderly person dies alone at home. Without an investigation, it might be assumed they died of old age. But a proper review might find an accidental fall due to a loose rug. This one finding could lead to a public safety campaign about fall prevention for seniors. This is how one person's death can help protect an entire community. The system provides answers that ripple outward, creating a safer world for everyone.